just come to speak to you the truth in love. Tell somebody, in love. Not in condemnation, but in love. So I call it a loving admonition. If you're looking for a title, it's called a loving admonition. You know, in Isaiah chapter 1 verse 18, what does it say? Come now. Let us do what? Let us reason together, saith who? The Lord. Now flow with me, don't be too silent, okay? It says, come now, let us reason together, saith the Lord. Though your sins be as scarlet, they shall be what? As white as snow. Though they be red like crimson, they shall be as wool. Verse 19. If you be willing and obedient, you shall eat the good of the land. Stand up for 2 minutes. I want you to receive this word. If you be what? What does it mean to be willing and obedient? This is the whole key. This is the whole key. If you're not willing to flow with God, and you are not living in obedience, you shall not eat the good of the land. If you are not willing to win souls, you are not willing to live, you are not willing to serve, all of us want to eat the good of the land, but it's not for every child of God. Before you can eat the good of the land, you have to be willing and obedient. There's no shortcut. And this is the whole thing. This is what it's all about. There's no grammar about it. There's no Hebrew. There's no Greek. There's no French. There's no Latin. If you're willing and obedient, there's nothing the devil can do. There is nothing the witches can do. There is nothing the wizards can do. There is nothing Yahoo boys can do. There is nothing any occult power can do. We are superior to any type of occultic thing. But all these things hinge on willingness and obedience. That's why God said to Saul, to obey is better than to sacrifice. If you want to be successful with God, you must know these two words: willing, obedient. So let's all read together. Go. Now say, if I be. I. Switch to Message translation. If you will willingly obey, you will feast like kings. Did he say if you fast for 2 years? How many of you want to feast like kings? Yeah. Don't fool yourself. This is the reason why we're here. We don't want to go the devil's way. We want to go God's way. And you cannot achieve God's way using the devil's standard. So let's tell each other the truth. That's why I call this a loving admonition. You don't need to waste your time. There's no magic with this thing. There's no mountain you'll climb and return. You start feasting like kings. When you are not willingly obeying God. In every aspect of your life, in your walk with God, in your finances with God, in your dealing with other people. God is no respecter of persons, but God is a respecter of principles. There are principles that guide every aspect of life, in marriage, in family, in the ministry, in your life, in your business. God is entangled in every aspect of our lives. He's not just a spiritual God who relates with the spirits. No, he relates with the spirit, the soul, and the body. And for you to be successful, you must have the revelation to willingly obey. Once you meet up that requirement, you will feast like kings. May that be your portion. Let's look at one more translation, the Amplified Bible. Oh, Jesus, let the word enter your spirits today. Same thing. If you're willing and obedient, you shall eat the good of the land. May the Lord bless his word. You may be seated. Now, but look at verse 20. What does it say? But if you refuse and rebel, you will be devoured by the sword. For the mouth of the Lord has spoken. I've understood something, that there are consequences for anything that we do. Somebody say consequences. In other words, the word means that you will reap anything that you sow. If you reap in the flesh, you will reap corruption. If you sow in the flesh, you will reap corruption. If you sow in the spirit, you reap eternal life. And it is either you're sowing in the spirit or you're sowing in the flesh. There are consequences. Somebody say it again. Say there are consequences. Anything you do, there is something waiting for you. Whether you do it for God, you do it for yourself, you do it for somebody else, nothing just ends with the action. There are forces that respond to any move you make. Abu Sagi. Abu Sagi. Ihe niile m nwere n'elu ụwa o si na gị. Ihe niile m nwere n'elu ụwa o si na gị. Were mo, were mo, were ihe dị mma. Were mo, were mo, were ihe dị mma. Otu isi chọọ, otu isi kwụ, ya ka mmemme. Otu isi chọọ, otu isi kwụ, ya ka mmemme. There are consequences. Oh, Jesus. Maketo nana sata. You are today because of yesterday. And you will be tomorrow where you will be because of today. If you refuse to be obedient to God, if you choose to live the way you want to live, the sixth day. Oh, Jesus, if you refuse and rebel, you shall be devoured. I want you today to make up your mind. I'm not going to leave one more second in disobedience. I'm going to say yes to God 24/7, 100%, not 99%. I'm not going to struggle with God again. I want the Spirit of God to have access. I don't want to be a hindrance. I want the light of God to flow in and flow on. I don't want the light of God to flow in and then get. Genesis 38 verse 10. Take note of the scriptures. Later you look at them and read them. Genesis 38 verse 10. I don't want to go through the whole story, but I just want to pick up this part. And the thing which he did, life is full of what we do. In fact, life is all about what we do. You are what you do. Say, I am what I do. Think about it. I am what I do. I'm not really what I say. I'm what I do. If you say it for a long time, you start to do it. So it can be what you say and what you do. Because what you say becomes what you do. It is a complicated life to say one thing and do another thing. It is very complicating when you say something else and then you do something else. It's rotten confusion. Many of us are living two lives. We're living two lives. We have a face we show to people. That's not really who we are. But God is saying that face you show to people should be the face you show to everybody and the face you show to me. You don't have to show people a different face. You don't have to say hallelujah only in church. You don't have to be courteous only in church. You don't have to be nice only in church. You don't have to be nice only to church people or to your department people or to only pastors. But when you are with your friends, you are a different thing entirely. No, it's about what we do. Now, I'm not interested in what you did yesterday, because yesterday is gone. You can't do anything about it. Don't stay stuck in your yesterday. Defeat it and move on. But I'm interested in what you are doing now and in what you plan to do. Some of you have appointments after service. You're going somewhere after service. You're going somewhere tomorrow. Some of you are traveling out of town tomorrow or tonight to do something. To do something. After service, we will go somewhere to do something. But I want you to know there is a God that sees everything. And there is also a devil also that sees everything. And there is a devil that is looking for something to use to accuse you. There is a devil pushing you to doing something that he will use to steal from you. Oh, Jesus. He presents, he takes something he wants you to do. He covers it up. He beautifies it. He pumps it. He fires it into your mind. And you begin to think about it. And you have a different impression. And then it is pushing you to do it. Do it. It could be initiation. It could be adultery. It could be fornication. It could be anything. The push, the pressure, the press. He's going to present a lie and sell it to you. And then he push you into it. Then you do it. Once you do it, he takes a picture of it. Then he goes to God. He's the accuser. My prayer is, let the devil accuse you falsely. Let his accusation lack weight. But it is terrible when his accusation is real. And that is why Paul wrote something in Romans chapter 6 verse 1. Keep your hand there. Just throw open to Romans chapter 6 verse 1. What shall we say then? See, the problem is not committing sin. The problem is continuing in sin. I'm being real now. And I'm not preaching over your head. God is angry when his children continue in sin. When there are no checks again. When there are no boundaries. Every child of God must have boundaries. You must have boundaries. If you did not have, you will have today. Because you see, this life is frustrating the grace of God. It's a fake life. What shall we say then? Shall we continue in sin? The problem is continuing in sin. Not just committing sin. You commit sin, you stay in the sin, then you stay in it, and then it becomes a lifestyle. Then it becomes a lifestyle. Then there's confusion in your members because I thought you are now born again. I thought all things have passed away. Yeah? How come now that old lifestyle is back? And then it becomes a part of you now plan your life with it. Now you have a boyfriend. Now you have a girlfriend. You're not married. See, for every child of God, whether you have a boyfriend is not a license. Anything you do with a boyfriend that is not a husband, even if he intends to be, that is not enough to say, this is my boyfriend, so I can go to movie with him. I can do anything with him. After all, we plan to be married. No. Heaven doesn't take that kind of relationship. That is continuing in sin. It must stop. If you don't stop, you will not eat the good of the land. God does not endorse sinful living. Am I making a point? God is saying, it's okay, enough is enough. You guys have done enough, it's okay, now stop and face me, because the days are going to be rough. And The devil will take advantage of the mess you are in to finish you up, to steal the blessings God has lined up for you. There are some blessings you can't access in iniquity. How many of you don't want to be blessed? Anybody here? I want to be blessed. But God has a way He blesses. You just saw it now that if you're not willing and if you're not obedient, you'll be devoured. Paul wrote something in 1 Corinthians. I don't know the exact place where he said, how can some of you be sleeping with your husbands, your father's wife? Somebody get it for me. Do you know that somebody told me that there's a man, or there are some men that love to sleep with their children? I can't even say such things. I can't even understand it. What are you doing? We are doing things that cannot even be talked about. Please find it for me in Corinthians. 5:1. Let me see if it is. Quickly. It's not only this church. It didn't start today. But it's not right. It is reported commonly that there is what? Fornication among you. I've seen some pastors who say, don't preach about sin. They say, you can't preach about, if you preach about sin, you're not sure of yourself. Paul preached about sin. Was Paul unsure of himself? No. We're not preaching, we are talking. That's why I call it admonition. I'm pointing you to the scriptures. It is reported commonly that there is fornication among you, and such fornication as is not so much as named. Give me a Message Bible. I also received a report of scandalous sex within your church family. I also received a report of scandalous sex within your church family. A kind that wouldn't be tolerated even outside the church. One of your men is sleeping with his stepmother. Somebody says scandalous sex. What does verse 2 say? And you are so above it all that it doesn't even faze you. Shouldn't this break your hearts? You see, if it doesn't break our hearts, then something is wrong with us. If you are living in sin and you don't have, if you are happy in sin, please check your salvation. If you're truly saved, anytime the thought comes, you will feel unhappy and uncomfortable. You'll fight. But if you have gotten to the point where, you know, when you drink hot tea, the first time, if it's very hot, it takes you about 10 minutes to finish a cup because it's hot. You know, if you keep drinking it, before you know it, what took you 10 minutes to down will take you 1 minute. You know why? Everything will have adjusted to the heat. So now it goes down easily than the first time you tried it. That is the danger of sin. The more you sin, the worse it becomes. And the more difficult it is to stop. That is why you cannot wait, you cannot plan to stop tomorrow because you may die before tomorrow. Once you hear about it, stop. Call on God's mercy, He will forgive you. And then move on. Don't allow it to be in your DNA. You are so above it all that it doesn't even faze you. Shouldn't this break your heart? Shouldn't it bring you to your knees in tears? Shouldn't this person and his conduct be confronted and dealt with? That's 3. I'll tell you what I'll do. Even though I'm not there in person, consider me right there with you. Because I can fully see what's going on. I'm telling you that this is wrong. Somebody say this is wrong. You must not simply look the other way and hope it goes away on its own. Bring it out in the open and deal with it in the authority of Jesus, our Master. In the authority of the Master. Can you touch your neighbor? Say, what are you doing? What are you doing? We have to do it right so that we must see the results. Genesis, back to Genesis, where we were before. Verse 10, it says, and the thing which he did what? Displeased the Lord. Look at Numbers 11, verse 1. And when the people complained, it displeased the Lord. Everything we do will either please the Lord or displease the Lord. I've made up my mind to please the Lord. It's not going to help me go to heaven. No, this is not about heaven. That's a mistake some people make. Heaven is a done deal. If you're born again, you're in heaven already. But you see, it's not about going to heaven. Going to heaven is not the problem. It is how to live here and reign. That is the issue. Unless you're a natural loser. If you're a natural loser, then you can continue in sin because you cannot win in sin. But if you are a natural winner and you want to make a statement about God, that God can keep you, God can bless you, God can enlarge you, then you must return to God. It displeased the Lord. Gossip. Look at the work of the flesh. Genesis, Galatians 5. Quickly. Now the works of the flesh are manifest, Leave it in Message Bible. Please, I don't want to just hear the word. I want you to receive the word. It is obvious what kind of life develops out of trying to get your own way all the time. Sin is selfishness. All sin is selfishness. All sin is about you. I want to enjoy myself. I want to smoke. I want to drink. I want to have sex. I want to watch pornography. I want to enjoy. I want to enjoy myself. You guys are not enjoying yourself. In this world, enjoyment is synonymous with sin. It's almost impossible to enjoy without sinning. Say it, all sin is what? Say it again. And you know, God hates selfishness. God hates when you live for yourself. God hates when all the money he gives you is for yourself. Repetitive, loveless, cheap sex. A stinking accumulation of mental and emotional garbage. Frenzied and joyless grabs for happiness. When you think that for me to be happy, I have to drink, I have to smoke, Canada, I have to do all those things. It is called what? I like the way he put it. Put it back. Frenzied and joyless grab for happiness. That is, you think if I can grab more alcohol, if I can, you know, some guys think it's for big boys, you know. Big boys drink these things. Big boys drink the champagne. I read about, somebody said, a musician said, each night I go out, I spend $30,000. I'm like, what? That is life. Because the more you pay for a bottle of alcohol, the bigger you are. And there are times you use to wash your hand or just pour it away. Just buy it. You can buy a bottle of champagne for 5 million naira. Did you know that? There's a bottle of champagne for 5 million naira. You buy it and then you pour it away to prove a point. We want 5 million to do crusade. We can't even see. And some rough boys every weekend burn $33,000. How much is that in naira? Huh? Tell me, somebody please, how much is that naira? Times 600 and something, right? Or 500 and something. Work for me, I want to know. Huh? About 18 million. 18 million every night on frenzied, joyless grabs for happiness. Now, do you think God will give you that kind of money to use it to drink? You see, not all money comes from God. Don't be deceived. When you see the devil give his kids money, don't be envious. In fact, I got to understand that even in church, most of the money in church are not God's money. What determines who owns the money is how you got the money. if you sleep with a man and he gives you 100 million, it's not God that gave you. Am I crossing some lines this morning? Or if a woman sleeps with you and gives you 10 million naira, it's not God that gave you that money. If you do drug business and make 50 million naira, it's not God that gave it to you. You may be a child of God, but that money will fight you. You can't eat Satan's money and go to bed. No, you can't. You can't. Frenzied, joyless. This sums it up. It's indeed joyless because God is not there. God is in the joy, not in the happiness. And you cannot have joy without God. You cannot find joy in the house of the devil. You cannot get joy with Satan's things. Satan's things don't have the power to give you joy. Joy is eternal. Joy is a product of the recreated spirit. That's why it says the joy of the Lord is my strength. Happiness is a product of the soul. Happiness is when you enter a beautiful club with all the things happening, all the ray lights and dazzlings and razzmatazz and, all the crazy things with naked girls with good shapes parading the whole place. Happiness. Fantastic place. That is what the man wants. That is what the enemy wants. That's what excites him. And when they ask you, how was it? Man. That is joyless grabs for happiness. Pursuing happiness in the camp of Lucifer. Now, for the unbeliever, he has no choice. So I'm not condemning the unbeliever. I'm talking about the Christian who has seen the light and still prefer darkness. How can the seed of God in you allow you every Friday, every Saturday to be with such people and in such places? There is something wrong with your salvation. If they have to beg you not to go to the club. If you're not saved, you have no choice. That's a life to live. But I'm talking to you if you are saved. The works of the flesh. All sin is selfishness. All sin is to gratify the desires of the flesh. You see a girl that is beautiful. That thing tells you, I must conquer this one. I must take this one. I must eat this girl. To let it be on record. Some guys boast with who they have slept with. So when you're single and you want to marry and tell them, I like that girl, say, leave him or leave him. Why go leave him now? That girl, a cheap girl. No, I don't. Then he will now call about 5 other names, brothers in the church. Don't you know it? Okay. Tunde. Isaac. Joe. All of them. And you are there doing like this. You're there. People are telling you, you're so beautiful. Say, hey, thank God. It's God. But you have sold yourself so cheap. I know the guys that do this thing in churches, they're all friends. And they all stand at the door before service. I'm telling you, they're not Christians. They behave like they have an assignment. They all stand together. Nah. So once you enter the bar, so how will you feel when you see, what name did I call again? Joe? Tunde? Okay? Isaac? You see 5 of them. And they always put their hands like this. Beware of men. Anytime you see a man that stands and then does like this, run away. When I was an unbeliever, there was one song we used to sing. Weezy Labo. When Weezy touch your face, whang. Weezy Labo. There are many Weezy Labos in church. They're all friends. They sleep with the same girls and they boast about it. They kiss and tell. Each time I get engaged, it breaks. Daddy pray. It's not daddy pray. Just that one of them met one of them. And that's the end of it. You know, it won't tell you. You don't gain in immorality. There's nothing to gain in it. Anything you compromise to get, you will ultimately lose it. We don't live by compromise, we live by faith. Makatelebes. Frenzied and joyless grabs for happiness. Learn to stand up and walk away. May God give you the grace. I said, may God give you the grace. Today, as you hear me, to stand up and do what? Walk away. And say to yourself, if I perish, I perish. I will not do it again. Don't condemn yourself. Your past is gone. Once you say, I'm sorry, God forgets it. But now it's for now. Makina Sona. It's not easy. But it is nice in the sight of God when you give up what you love for Him. Oh, I love this thing, man. This thing is so nice. The girl is so nice. This style is so nice. But God is nicer. So I take up my phone and I send out some texts and say, I love you, but I got to go. We must stop this nonsense. And that's it. Move on. Even if they come to judge you for what you have left, God will repay you. But the bad one is when they judge you for what you are still doing. There's no defense for it. See, when Jacob was returning from Laban's place. Now, take note of who that guy was. Jacob. Jacob was the future of Israel and the future of God in one person. Everything about Jacob was different, was special. Because he's the father of Israel. He is Israel, the father of God's people. But there was still Jacob. There was no Israel. He serves Laban. He does all the things. Eventually he decides to return. And God had blessed him, even in a lie. See, that God is blessing you is not a proof that he's happy with you. So when God is blessing you, look inward and quickly make amends. If he blesses you in iniquity, don't remain in iniquity. If you're shacking up together, living as husband and wife, you've not paid bride price, you've not done anything, and God blesses you, don't continue in it. Fix it. Go to the court quickly. Go to your pastor quickly. And do not continue in sin. This is my sermon today. I did not commit sin. I said not continue in it. If God happens because of his goodness, because of his decides to even still bless you in your disobedience, don't remain in that disobedience. Joyless grabs for happiness. Go on. 20. Trinket gods, magic show religion, paranoid loneliness, cutthroat competition, all consuming yet never satisfied once. Godliness with contentment is great gain. What entices people is greed. Satan sells the greed spirit to you. Once you buy it, you're gone. Nothing can satisfy you because there's something that keeps wanting. It keeps wanting. It can't be satisfied. You can't have enough sex. You can't have enough money. You can't have enough of anything. There's no restraint, no control. All consuming yet never satisfied once. A brutal temper. Hey. A brutal temper. I see some of these people, these ladies and these women, all these A-listers and all that. I see them on Instagram manifesting. If you have a bad temper, beg God. Beg God, take it away, Lord. It's a terrible thing. Because he will eventually hear what you said. And then it may be too late. Be calm, be calm, be calm, be calm. An impotence to love or be loved. Divided homes, divided lives, small-minded and lopsided pursuits. The vicious habit of depersonalizing everyone into a rival. Uncontrolled and uncontrollable addictions. Ugly parodies of community. I could go on and on. This isn't the first time I have warned you, you know. If you use your freedom this way, you will not inherit God's kingdom. This is not to frighten you. This is the truth. The truth is a person. You tell the truth. At times, truth can be frightening. But underneath that frightening, you see love. It's a fright that will shock you back to reality.